What we do here is go back.
I have already rated 50 different champions in the support role, but some of them over 4 years ago. In this series, we are quickly revisiting old picks to see how they compare to what I know now, and re-ranking them as needed, as well as including your guys' rankings and making a tier list based on that. In this episode, we'll be looking at Amumu. The original video I released was on February 29th, 2020. Which was over 3 years ago. In the original video, I gave him an overall rating of an A, but have since then kept him an S- after time has gone on. Let's talk about why I made that decision, and see if I want to change his rating anymore. Since the video came out, there has been one major change to Amumu's kit that saw him actually become a viable support to the point where he was played at Worlds, which is of course the fact that they doubled the amount of Qs, albeit reducing the effectiveness of each one. Still, this means he has twice as many chances to land his stun as before, or better yet, he has a greater chance to increase his total amount of CC by chaining his Qs together. It's kind of crazy to imagine that they could double the amount of times a character can use their most important basic ability, and they aren't considered crazy OP. To me, it really shows just how strong power creep has become, and that more changes like this one might need to be done to the older champions so that they can keep up in today's League of Legends. This was also recorded before Mythics came out, and while Mythics are leaving again, if an item like Evan Shroud remains for tanks and supports, then it is an ideal item for Amumu, as he can proc it so easily with his very powerful AoE ultimate. They also added the Rune Glacial Augment, which is a very powerful option for Amumu, because if you can land the first Q and proc that Glacial, then the second Q will be easier to land due to the slow, which is great for catching out those pesky enchanters. That being said, I still really like Aftershock when you're trying to deal with tank supports. Now that we've talked about the major changes, let's finally re-rate Amumu for the second time, as I've already bumped him up from an A to an S- when they added a second Q to his kit, as of course that's a very powerful change. In Season 13, I would actually bump him up to an S rating, as enchanters have become a bit less powerful, and we've seen a rise in engaged supports again, as Mumu can scrap pretty well into them with his W dealing % max health damage, and his E reducing the damage he takes from auto attacks. He still provides a great amount of CC with his Qs, and obviously his ultimate, that when combined with Flash, he becomes a very powerful threat. That being said, he definitely isn't at the top of the support role, because his QCC is not the most reliable, as it is still a skill shot, and when missed on a minion or the wrong target, it can actually end in Amumu's demise quite easily, as he won't be the tankiest, and landing a bandage toss forces you front and center of the action. He is a great engage support though for snowballing a game, as he does decent early game damage, and can continue the pressure with very powerful roams, as his engage range is quite impressive, and he remains as one of my favorite support picks, and a champion that would no longer be considered off meta, which is funny because when I played him, he very much was. Now this lovely community has rated Amumu a 4.55, which is by far the highest I've seen, and he's the only champion I've seen who hasn't received any votes lower than C tier, which I think is absolutely fair as he is quite strong. Don't forget to check out my community tab if you want to rate any of the other upcoming supports to have your opinion be heard. That's all for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave it a like, and in the next video we will be re-rating Ashe support, so make sure to subscribe if you'd be interested in seeing that one. Thank you all so much for watching, and I want to wish you good luck on your off-meta adventures.